is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball Channel. Today we're going to be talking Texas Rangers, starting the previews. Baseball is back, and we got a special guest who knows all about the Rangers, Rangers expert, Texas Rangers report by CFN. Cullen, thanks for being here today. Appreciate it, sharing your knowledge. We'll just start with the off season. I mean, it's been crazy. The Texas Rangers are coming hard right now, already signing some of the biggest names. How do you feel so far about the off season?
I think it's great, especially for a team who's hasn't gone to the playoffs in 5 years, to go out and get not one but two of the top 5 shortstops in this free agency class. And then obviously you signed John Gray. He's not anything spectacular, but maybe he could be a rebound candidate. You go out and get Cole Calhoun, who's not anything spectacular. And then we just signed Martin Perez. So those are we literally just signed him today. So those are the 5 players that we have gotten so far. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another free agent move by the end of this offseason, maybe a trade, because we never thought we were going to get Nate Lowe last offseason. But obviously the big two cherry on the top was Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. We are so ecstatic about those.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't see that coming. Marcus Semien and both of them. So that's going to be absolutely huge with Semien and Seager right there in the middle of the order. Adolis Garcia is awesome. I mean, it's been an insane offseason already for y'all.
Yes, we still have a lot of work to do, but that's where next offseason will come into play, because we get at least $20 million off the books when we don't have to pay for Elvis and Ruben Odor anymore. And there's good free agents next offseason, but also we have our farm system, which has rebounded, and we have guys like Jack Leiter, Cole Winn, Josh Young, just to name a few. So the future's looking bright, in my opinion, in Texas. Yeah, so I'll give you the rundown of all the rumors that I've heard. Pitching is still a big need. So if we break down our starting rotation right now, obviously you have John Gray as the number 1, and right now Martin Perez would be the number 2. Are those guys number 1 and number 2s? No, they aren't. That's just how the rotation is looking right now. And then you have to go with Dane Dunning at the number 3. We got in the Lance Lynn deal. And after that, it looks really shaky. You probably have to go with Taylor Hearn as the number 4. And then you have a bunch of prospects that battle it out for the number 5, like Glenn Otto, AJ Alexi, and a bunch of other guys. But obviously, that rotation still needs some help. I've heard reports that Kershaw is likely to sign with the Dodgers, but I still think the Rangers have a chance. Rendon just signed with the Giants, your team. So.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that. Is that true? Rendon, is that real? Oh my goodness! I'm just hearing right now. Awesome.
Wait, are you serious? Is that the first time you heard it?
Yeah, no, this is the first time I heard it.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that.
So if Kershaw goes to Dodgers and Rodon's off the board, there's not really a lot of good starting pitchers. So you could look at the trade market at Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, or you could go to the Marlins. But definitely you need more starting pitching, or you could wait till next offseason. There's Mike Clevenger, Noah Syndergaard. But also I think the Rangers need another bat. Right now in left field, you have Willie Calhoun or Nick Solak. Those guys, this is probably their last year as a Ranger if they don't prove themselves. So some guys I'm looking at is Seiya Suzuki from Japan, Jorge Soler, Tommy Pham. Suzuki has risk. And then Jorge Soler, Tommy Pham, those guys didn't have good years last year. But I view them as bounce-back candidates because the expected numbers showed a lot of promise, and you could probably get them on cheap deals. So those are guys that I am looking at.
All right, yeah, that's amazing. If you can guys get a couple, 1 or 2 more of those guys, y'all are going to be in a prime position because you're coming off a terrible year, right? How many games y'all lose? Like over 100 games?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to forget. I think there's
try to forget. Yeah, that's rough. But you can bounce back quick. I mean, the Giants proved it. They won 107 last year, and they weren't that great before that. So anything could happen, and y'all are doing big things. But I was going to bring up the I don't know if this is if you agree with this lineup here. We try and make it a little bigger.
Yeah, I think a lot of those, obviously nowadays, like majority of times you'll see a lot of guys switching like up and down the lineup, but
Yeah.
I definitely think we'll get an outfielder for sure. So I definitely think Calhoun could probably stay at the DH, but Solak will probably be a bench bat. That I really strongly believe we'll get an outfielder. But personally, I would want Seager batting second because nowadays you want your best hitters batting higher in the order because they get more opportunities, and he is the best hitter on the team. But I like that Humm is in the lineup. I think he is the better offensive catcher over Jose Trevino, and both are elite defensive catchers. I like Adolis Garcia at the cleanup spot because usually you want your best power hitter in the cleanup spot, and he's all about the power. Personally, I want Nate Lowe as the leadoff hitter, and this is really like different because usually you don't have a first baseman as a leadoff hitter, but this guy, his on-base percentage was almost 370 last year. He drew I think he drew more walks. No, Joey Gallo still drew more walks, but almost as much walks as Joey Gallo. He's not your traditional first baseman, so I feel like he'd be a good guy to lead off. And I feel like my top three would be Nate Lowe, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and then Adolis Garcia at 4, and then the rest will probably fluctuate throughout the season. So I mean, this isn't a bad lineup at all, but if Josh Jung was healthy, our top infield prospect, I would want him starting over IKF for sure.
Yeah, he's a great looking prospect. Yeah, so you always got to think about the prospects who might show up and make a big impact.
Especially with the new rule in the CBA that your team can get a draft pick now if your guy finishes in the top 2 for Rookie of the Year. So if Josh Jung were to finish in the top 2 for Rookie of the Year, the Rangers would get a draft pick. So if he were healthy, that could have incentivized the Rangers to put him on the opening day roster. But he's injured, and that job will probably go to IKF now.
Yeah, so let's check out the possible rotation. You have a whole bunch of names: Gray, Dunning, Allard, King, Hearn, Spencer Howard, a prospect y'all picked up from the Phillies, I think, Lynn Otto, AJ Alexi. I mean, what do you think of the rotation might look like?
As of right now, Gray's our number 1, Martin Perez our number 2, Dane Dunning our number 3.
Right.
I'd have to put Taylor Hearn at the number 4 above Colby Allard, above John King, just because King doesn't have a lot of experience as a starter, and when he did, he got hurt. Allard is inconsistent, and Taylor Hearn finished the season on a strong note last year. But the good thing about the Rangers is that we do have a lot of these prospects that could play well, and they could find a spot in the rotation, like Spencer Howard, who was the Phillies' top prospect 1 or 2 years ago. Glenn Otto, who we got in the Joey Gallo trade, who pitched well in short times at the major leagues last year, and AJ Alexi, who pitched okay in the majors last year, who we got in the Yu Darvish trade. But AJ Alexi has some signs of being a reliever, but at least we have those guys. So if, let's say, Dane Dunning gets injured, we can always call these guys up. It's good to have this depth, but I still think Clayton Kershaw is on the board. But let's say Clayton Kershaw goes to the Dodgers, we could still look at Zach Greinke because he would be cheap. He's not what he used to be, but you still have to think about it. Zach Greinke or Kershaw could come in, even if they don't pitch like they used to, they can mentor all of these young guys because outside of Perez and Gray, all of these guys are young guys that could need to be mentored. And if you think about it, it's not just Glenn Otto, it's not just Alexi, it's not Howard. You have Jack Leiter and Cole Winn coming up. And those are probably your 2 aces of the future. If you could help them grow, that'd be tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a lot of options. Just a couple of those prospects, do okay. I like Spencer Howard, but he's been kind of shaky at times. And then the bullpen, I'm not too familiar. I know some of these names. Josh Spores, I think he used to be a Dodgers prospect. Brett Martin. So Dennis Santana also. These are some former Dodgers here. Nick Snyder. But yeah, obviously you might need some more bullpen help, but what do you think?
So yeah, our bullpen is interesting. But one thing, if you look at the Rangers roster, it's filled with a lot of Dodgers former players or former prospects. And I do think that's because we have a former Dodgers coach in Chris Woodward. Just to mention a few, like Josh Spores, Dennis Santana. We took Brett the Geist in the Rule 5 draft.
Right.
Obviously, Corey Seager, Willie Calhoun, AJ Alexi, and what's his name? Oh, DJ Peters. That's just to name a few.
Oh, yeah.
Just to name a few. But going back to the bullpen, and Billy McKinney and Zach Rex, those are outfielders. Not all of them are still with this organization, but that's a lot of Dodgers players.
Yeah, it is.
But anyways, going back to the bullpen, Joe Barlow was a rookie last year, and he really did establish himself as the closer of this team. I don't know what round he was drafted in, but he was exposed in the Rule 5 draft for 2 years in a row. Nobody took him, but he pitched really well. The thing about him was his control, and that's why nobody took him. That's why he didn't get protected. But he pitched well in AAA. He got called up, I think, because the Rangers had some COVID issues. So he had an open roster spot, and boom, that was his one chance, and he seized it. And I think he'll be the closer next year. Josh Spores, he was average last year. I think he throws the hardest on the team. He has some good baseball savant metrics, and given that Chris Woodward has that Dodgers connection, he'll probably stay on the team. Brett Martin is an average big league relief pitcher. He just induces a lot of ground balls. And like I said, Taylor Hearn, I had him as a starter. He's probably best as a reliever, but as of right now, I'll have him as a starter. Spencer Patton pitched well for the Rangers last year early on, and I thought this guy might get traded in the July 31st trade deadline, but they valued his leadership as basically one of the only veteran presence on the team, and it turns out, so we signed him from Japan, so I thought he would be a free agent after the year, but we have at least 5 years of team control of him, and he's 33, so maybe that's why the Rangers didn't, but he dropped off late in the year, so it's kind of an average pitcher. Dennis Santana, average. Nick Snyder, he was a rookie. He throws gas, but he got injured. And two guys I want to mention that are probably the best pitchers in the bullpen is Jonathan Hernandez, who's recovering from Tommy John, and Jose Leclerc, who's also recovering from Tommy John as well. So if we get Leclerc back, Hernandez back, and we have Joe Barlow pitching well, I think that could be a solid 1, 2, 3 in the back end of the bullpen.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad at all. And again, the free agency is still going on. Obviously, I got to start knocking these previews out because baseball season is going to start real quick. And but obviously, some more signings could happen. And just a quick glance, we talked about the lineup, we talked about the bullpen, talked about the rotation. Is there any? I'm not sure of your bench. Any other players here? Any other players could make an impact? Johnny Hernandez, I'm not really sure.
Obviously, I think the biggest players that will have an impact is obviously Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. That's why we gave him the big money. But if we want to have a breakout candidate, let me go with Nate Lowe, the first baseman. We got him in the trade last year from the Tampa Bay Rays. He had a solid season with a weighted runs created plus of 115, on base of 367, I believe. The thing about him, he hits the ball hard, but he hits a bunch of ground balls. So with elite defenders at the major league level, that's an easy out nowadays. That's why coaches really want focus on launch angle so you can get the ball up, because if you hit line drives and fly balls, that's a better chance for a better outcome. So I do believe with his patience at the plate, because he draws a lot of walks, if he's able to elevate those pitches to line drives and fly balls instead of ground balls, then I think he could have a breakout year for sure. The only thing is, with this lockout, you never know if he gets that time with the coaches to implement a new strategy, or if he was able to do that on his own. I don't really know, but I wouldn't be surprised if he broke out this year, because he already had a solid season last year. He probably just needs to make a few adjustments at the plate. This is my guy, could break out for the Rangers in 2022.
Sick, man. Let's hope it happens. And yeah, hopefully y'all have a much better season than last year. Obviously, you got some competition with the Astros, the Mariners, who are trying to improve. They're signing guys as well. The A's and the Angels. But I don't think y'all are going to finish and last again.
Nah, I definitely think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a competitive division, because I think everybody besides the Athletics want to compete this year. But I don't think we'll finish last, because the Athletics are having a fire sale.
Right. So yeah, the A's they're on their way down. So we'll see. And the Angels, you never know with the Angels. They haven't been very good for a while. The Mariners are up and coming. Yeah, I can see the Rangers. I don't know. Yeah, probably no lower than third this year. Otherwise, I'd say it's a pretty big disappointment. They're going for the playoffs, though. Obviously, with the guys they're signing, that they're trying to go deep in the playoffs. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on here, giving that preview, getting all your expertise. Looks like you know these players really well. I want to give a shout out to you and your channel as well. So make sure everybody go subscribe to Texas Rangers Report by CFM. I'm going to put a link in the description. I'm going to put a pinned comment down in the comment section. Texas Rangers Report by CFM. Lots of content, lots of shorts, constant uploads, talking about the new CBA, all kinds of content here. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And I really appreciate being able to come on your channel and talk about baseball and my favorite team, the Texas Rangers.
Not a problem at all. All right, so hopefully we'll send some people over there, and hopefully we'll have you back on a little bit later during the season, maybe, as the Rangers. We'll see how they do, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about.
For sure, for sure. I appreciate it, and have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right.
See ya.
When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. Every time the chips are down, it's bye-bye, baby. History's in the making at Oracle Park.